But before we start, we need to look and remember how we can describe situations using algebra. So the first one, if we have a letter or some number represented by A, we wanted to multiply it by 4, we would write that as 4 times A. Okay, think about what sum you're doing as if it was a normal number, which we know we can simplify to just 4A. A plus 4, A minus 4, A divided by 4, remember we use the line to show division when we're doing algebra. And finally, this last one is one to be careful of and one to remember. If you have A plus 4 and then times A plus 7, then times by 4. You start with A plus 7, but then you're multiplying the whole thing by 4. If you're doing something to the whole thing, you need to put brackets around it. So it would be 4 brackets A plus 7. And just a quick reminder, think back to the beginning of the year when we were doing multiplying brackets. If you want to multiply out those brackets, everything on the inside multiplied by what's on the outside. 4 times A would give us 4A. 4 times 7 is 28. So we can use all of this notation to help us form an equation to solve some problems. So the first sort of problems that we are going to look at today involve, think of a number. Okay, so our first one here, Mo thinks of a number. He multiplies it by 6 and the answer is 30. What number was he thinking of? So a question like that you could probably actually work out without having to do any algebra in your head by thinking backwards. Well, if you had a number, he multiplied it by 6 and got 30, what did he have to start with? Work backwards. The opposite of multiplying by 6 is dividing by 6. But we can show this using an equation. So he thinks of a number. We don't know what that number is. When we have a number that we don't know, we can use letters to represent it. I'm going to think of n, or use n to show the number. So he starts with his number n that we don't know yet, and he multiplies it by 6. How would we show that using an expression? Well, that's our first case, something multiplied by something, 6n. n multiplied by 6 we write as 6n. So he multiplies it by 6 and the answer is 30. And the answer is like saying equals. So an expression for this would be 6n equals 30 because we're doing 6 times the number is equal to 30. So that's the first part of the question, forming the equation. What does the question actually want to know? They want to know what number he was thinking of to begin with. So solving the equation, we work backwards. The opposite of multiplying by 6 is dividing by 6. 6n divided by 6 is just n. 30 divided by 6 is 5. So n is 5. If we go on to a slightly harder one, a two-step one, okay? So Dara thinks of a number, multiplies it by 4 and then adds 5. The answer is 29. What number was he thinking of? So again, we've got a number that we don't know. Let's call it n. And what's the first thing he does to it? He multiplies it by 4. So if we multiply a number by 4, we're going to end up with 4n. He then adds 5, so we can say 4n plus 5, and the answer is 29. The answer is means equals. So we end up with 4n plus 5 equals 29. We started with a number, we multiplied it by 4, added 5, and our answer is 29. So again, that's the first part of the question, forming the equation. Then they want to know, what number was it? So we work backwards. The opposite adding 5, take away 5. 4n equals 24. And then to get n by itself, we divide by 4. Divide by 4, n equals 6. Okay, have a read of the next question. Mariam thinks of a number. She multiplies it by 6 and then subtracts 7. She gets 11. What was her number? Pause the video now and have a go at it yourself. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to have a go at that question. So first thing we're going to do is form the equation. So Mariam thinks of a number. We're going to call that n. She multiplies it by 6. So we've got our number n. Multiply it by 6. We get 6n. She then subtracts 7. So we've got 6n. We take away 7. 6n minus 7. Her answer is 11. So we have to put that equal to 11. Now, going about solving it, add 7, we get 6n equals 18. We want to get n by itself, divide by 6, we get n equals 3. So now have a go at section